The stage was set, lights, applause. A guest chair warmed for Representative Jasmine Crockett. But what unfolded on Stephen Colbert's show was less interview, more interrogation, and she was holding the gavel. From the moment she appeared, it was clear this wasn't just another late-night appearance. Crockett, sharpened by courtroom battle and political grit, flipped the format on its head. Colbert prodded. She parried. He smirked. She struck. Her opening salvo, a retort that cut deeper than his set-up punchline. She questioned his commitment to substance, exposing what she claimed was comedy cloaked in avoidance. He tried to steer things back, playing a viral video of her congressional takedown, but the ground had shifted. She controlled the room now. Backstage, chaos. Producer signaling, eyes wide, but on camera, it was a new kind of electricity. Crockett's presence disrupted the formula. Colbert's timing faltered. By the end, even seasoned viewers were left unsure of what they'd just witnessed, except that it was unforgettable. Some believe it was orchestrated, others that it was pure impulse. But the collision between Representative Jasmine Crockett and Stephen Colbert wasn't just a late-night surprise. It was a cultural jolt. Those close to the production confirm the moment she started pushing back, the energy shifted. Crockett stood firm. Colbert, caught off guard, leaned harder into the exchange. This wasn't your standard political Q&A. As Crockett disrupted the typical narrative, the producer scrambled. No laughs, no light banter, just raw tension on live TV. The Congresswoman wasn't backing down, refusing to let the show drift into the usual rhythm. Colbert, attempting to regain control, questioned the poverty levels in Crockett's district. Why not focus on solutions instead of sparring in D.C., he asked. Crockett answered swiftly. Solutions take more than airtime, she replied. Then came the pivot, blaming tax systems rigged for the rich. It landed with weight. The audience split. Applause mixed with discomfort, but Colbert pushed again, flashing a questionable headline tied to an alleged campaign probe. Fiction entirely. That's a ghost story, Crockett replied, unfazed. The tone was set, and what happened next? It rewrote the rules of political television. What's the real sponsor behind your studio lights? She asked, tone cutting through, the laughter like a knife. The question landed hard. Suddenly, the jokes were gone. Crew members behind the cameras exchanged glances, scrambling to pause the chaos, but Jasmine kept going. You don't just cut away when it gets uncomfortable, she said, voice unwavering as her mic stayed live. Word from the floor says panic set in fast. No cue card had prepared the staff for this kind of unfiltered energy. The crowd grew restless, electric, each word feeding a fire that was already spilling onto social media with captions like Crockett versus Colbert, round one. But the true explosion was just moments away. The boundaries of talk show tradition snapped. This wasn't a conversation, it was a confrontation. Crockett refused to yield, and Colbert, the seasoned ringmaster, was losing his grip on the act. You're stirring the pot, Congresswoman, he managed, fake grin in place. But then he dropped a doctored image of her with corporate figures asking, how's that fit your for the people narrative? Jasmine met his gaze. That image is a lie, and that event fed 200 kids last winter. Tell that story. You peddle illusion, Stephen, not truth. Who pays for the illusion? The air changed. Applause clashed with outrage, the studio becoming something closer to a battleground. Crockett rose slowly, as if the gravity of the moment demanded elevation. This is what they bury, she said coolly, eyes fixed on the host. But now, the curtain's torn. Colbert cracked. The desk took the brunt. No more, he barked. This isn't your stage. But Crockett only tilted her head. Then stop pretending it's your throne. Security hovered near the wings, as the live feed burned on, catching every tick of the clock and tremor in the room. Then the slip. "Get her out," Colbert said under his breath, but the mic betrayed him. Crockett spun on a dime. "Dismiss me? I'm not your punchline," she said, inching toward the audience. Security paused. "The badge she wore? Not one you drag off camera. Experts now call it a tear in the fabric of scripted television. By the time the screen faded to black, the fallout was already a tidal wave. When Crockett removed her mic and said, "I walk on my terms," she left behind a host rattled, a crew stunned, and a broadcast studio forever altered. Here's where it stopped being a segment and became a moment. As the feed went dark, Colbert didn't speak, didn't stand, just stared at the cracked coffee mug on his desk. The only thing that hadn't moved. Behind the scenes, total meltdown. Producers in headsets shouting, trying to figure out how to shape the wreckage. A source called the control room, a battlefield of opinions. Some wanted to ride the wave for clicks. Others urged an apology. But out in the hallway, Crockett was already gone, her phone out, her message sharp. Within minutes, she tweeted, "Told y'all I don't play. They can't silence what's real." It hit like lightning. Hashtags erupted. Crockett vs. Colbert, mask off. While social media lit up with broadcast clips and shaky audience footage. X and TikTok turned the confrontation into content gold. Online, Crockett was called a truth slinger, a fire starter. One post dubbed her the glitch in late night's matrix. Others weren't so kind, calling it a stunt, an ambush. Analysts debated it across morning panels. "She didn't follow the script," one expert said. "She showed how fragile the script really is." Another called it a turning point in how politicians might take on media moving forward. And back at the studio, silence. Colbert skipped to the post-show debrief. He walked into his office and closed the door. Things got spicy after the cameras cut. Sources say Colbert let his guard drop just long enough to mutter about guests thinking they're the main event. Yikes. Not the usual cool-headed host. But while he brooded, the suits upstairs were celebrating. Overnight ratings, off the charts, highest in months. One behind-the-scenes voice said it best, "It's a disaster." But the kind people can't stop watching. Colbert's brand definitely took a hit. Analysts claim he played his usual game, but Crockett came in with her own script, and she nailed it. She wasn't just clapping back, she was strategizing. By morning, insiders say she was already working the phones, turning the moment into momentum. Whispers say she's eyeing a rival talk show, ready to crank the volume even higher. And those ethical whispers swirling around her? Radio silence from her camp. Smart move. The suspense has everyone leaning in, waiting for the next twist. She's not just making waves, she's surfing them, one political strategist said, hinting she might ride this all the way to a Senate seat in 2026. Meanwhile, the ripples are reaching late night's foundations. The comfy, scripted format might not survive guests who refuse to follow the rules. Networks are scrambling, some doubling security, others doubling down on controversy. Audience reactions? Like fire and ice. Crockett's either a truth slinger or a storm in a teacup. TikToks filled with memes. Colbert's uh-oh face is practically a sticker now. Crockett destroys Colbert, headlined one outlet. Another asked, "Has late night lost control?" Her supporters are calling her office nonstop, begging her to keep the heat on. Meanwhile, Colbert's crew is drafting the ultimate PR spin, a calm, classy recap of the night. But the truth? That night burned its way into pop culture. No edit can erase it.